Hi, everybody. Matthew Turnage here. Well, we've just recently celebrated the 40th anniversary of Paul McCartney's Tug of War album. And I got to thinking the other day that the month of May is 40 years since this song, Ebony and Ivory, off the Tug of War, hit number one for Paul McCartney here in the US. And it actually ended up becoming Paul's most successful single since Hey Jude with the Beatles. Ebony and Ivory hit number one on both sides of the Atlantic. In the UK, it was number one for 3 weeks, running from April 24th to May the 8th, 1982, and spent a total of 10 weeks on the charts, whereas in the US it was absolutely massive, with 7 weeks at number one and a total of 19 weeks on the charts. And its run at number one lasted from May 15th, 1982 through June 26, 1982. So an incredibly long run. And in fact, it was so successful, it ended up being the number four hit on the Billboard's year-end chart for the entire year of 1982. So huge smash, but these days, a lot of times people will slag off Ebony and Ivory. Now, I do think amongst the hardcore Paul McCartney fans, those fans like myself tend to be a bit more kind to it, but I think amongst the more sort of general population, it's not as highly regarded, even though it was such a huge smash. And so today I thought I'd like to talk a little bit about why I think people have gotten so down on it over the years, and also why I still think it's a great tune. Now, the things that it usually gets criticized for, one is the lyrics. And yes, the lyrics are pretty simple and straightforward, and they are addressing a very serious topic, the topic of racism and lack of racial harmony in the world. And so, yes, the approach to the lyrics are simple, but it's a pop song. I mean, in a 3-minute, 4-minute pop song, nobody's going to give you, a workable solution to a problem like racism. It just can't be done. So I think all you can really do is express, a feeling of hope or desire for change, and that's what this song does. And I think it does it effectively. But some people feel the lyrics as being too simplistic, perhaps. And another reason I think people are down on it is the people who were around at the time and remember it. It was such a huge smash. It got a ton of play, and I think a lot of people who were around then and remember that just probably got sick of the song. That can certainly happen. But I think another thing that it has working against it in some corners is the production style, the arrangements. Specifically things like the synthesizers and the vocoders. They're very much of the time. Now, personally, I believe that while it's much better if a song or a recording has a timeless quality to it, where it still sounds, fresh and of the moment at any point. At the same time, I am not so bothered when a song sounds of its era, because all art is made at a certain point in time, and sometimes even for a certain point in time. So I think having things that tie that piece of art to its time is not so bad. In the case of Ebony and Ivory, again, those synthesizers are very much an 80s synthesizer sound. I think especially at the very beginning of the song, that sort of fanfare that we have with the synthesizers. And then again, there's that vocoder work later in the track that do give it very much a 1980s feel, and particularly the first half of the 80s. So I can understand how that could bother some people. It doesn't particularly bother me. And again, the lyrics, I think Paul is being very sincere there, and I think there's nothing wrong with being simple in terms of a pop song. He's just really trying to get an idea across. He's not saying, I have the answer to racism necessarily. He's saying this isn't the way it should be. It should be different. I don't think there's anything wrong with the song just going that far, saying this is a problem, and we should change it. We need to think differently. Um, as far as the song itself, though, in terms of being a song, I think it's got a couple things really in its favor. One, it's a great melody. It's instantly catchy and memorable, which is what you want in a pop song. I think that's probably a big part of why it was such a hit for such a long time. Um, Paul sings great on it, and then you've got those great vocals from Stevie Wonder as well. So they harmonize together very well. They blend together very well vocally. Both were at the top of their game in terms of their vocal ability in 1982, and so in terms of the vocals, the singing is top notch on this track. And then the last thing I think musically that really stand out on this song when I listen to it is Paul's bass guitar work. There's an excellent bass track on this one, and in particularly when you think about the song as it goes into, there's a middle section and then they reprise it at the end. It's the bit with the Ebony and Ivory living in perfect harmony where that repeats and you got the hand claps. Next time you listen to the track, really give a lot of attention to Paul's bass in there. It sounds great. It's some really interesting playing. It blends in with the song well. It gives it a nice little groove, and he had a really good bass tone on that track, I think. So yes, Ebony and Ivory. I understand why some people knock it, but let's not forget it was a huge hit for a reason. Songs don't spend 7 weeks at number one on the charts unless the people who are listening to it at the time enjoy it. If if people got sick of it that fast at the time, it wouldn't have spent that long on the charts. But it stayed up there longer than any other hit Paul had since the Beatles, and even longer than several of the Beatles singles. So I just want to say this song doesn't deserve some of the knocks it gets. If it's a song that you're not crazy about or indifferent for, I'd encourage you to take another listen to it. Really listen to those vocals and how well Paul and Stevie sound together, and especially listen to that bass line, the chorus, and then especially as you go to that middle section in the outro. There's some really nice bass work from Paul, and a lot to appreciate there. And if you like 80s music like I do, hey, those synthesizers are pretty cool too. So Ebony and Ivory, great song, great single from Paul McCartney, deserved to be a number one hit for as long as it did. And I don't think it deserves some of the flack it gets today. So there you go. Thanks for watching.